channel. I'm in coaching center. Today I'm going to explain our 10th standard science chapter 3 metals and non-metals. So physical properties of metals. First let's talk about physical properties of metals. The easiest way for the substances is by its physical property. By its physical properties, we can group it. Metal is pure and shiny. It is pure and shiny and this is called metallic luster. Pure and shiny of metal is called as metallic luster. And also metal is hard, and the hardness depends on different metals. It depends which metals we are using. So the ability of metal to make into a thin wire is called ductility. The ability of ductility. So what is ductility? If they ask for 1 marks in Japan lesson, you have to write. And next is malleability. So they may ask what is ductility and malleability. The ability of metal to make into a thin sheet. To making into a thin sheet is called the malleability. For example, for ductility is your copper wire you may have seen, and malleability or the aluminum sheet you may have seen. Sometimes they will give so that the food may be preserved for more days. You can keep it. By this photo you can say that the metal or good conductor of heat. Good conductor of heat and in that in heat, and in that silver and copper are best conductor of heat. They both are copper or best conductor of heat. And lead and mercury, the metal, the lead and mercury or pure or they not or less conductor of heat. We cannot use them as conductor of heat. And also, so you may be knowing lead formula. Pb we call it is, and silver Ag is Hg, and copper Co. So these all the formula as I said for this all. And silver and copper are best conductor of heat, and lead and mercury are very poor, we can say, less or poor, we can say, poor conductor of heat. You may have observed the current carrying conductor in your home. Is covered with PVP. They call PVP, that is polyvinyl chloride. They cover so that you may not get shock. Non-metals property. So very few non-metals are compared to metals. There are very few non-metals are compared to metals. So all metals except mercury live in solid temperature. solid temperature, and high metals have high melting point, but helium and caesium helium and caesium have low melting point. They have low melting point, and they melt if we keep them in our palm also. At that much fastly they will melt. Iodine is a non-metal. Iodine is a non-metal, and lustrous and carbon exist in different form, and these forms are called autotropes. And diamond is a carbon compound that is hard and a very high melting and boiling point. It has melting and boiling point. They said alkali metal or soft and can easily cut a knife. These chemical properties of metal. What happened when metal burned in air? What happens when metal is burnt in air? Metals are burnt in air. Let's know what we get. So metal combine with oxygen to form metal oxide. So metal is plus these are reactant plus oxygen we get is equal to metal oxide. The example of 2Cu plus O2 is equal to 2CuO. And also what happens means, so when metal oxides like aluminium oxide, zinc oxide reacts with them. So both are acid and base. Both acid and base behavior they both show. And also acid and base reacts, we get water and salt like the water and salt, and it is called amphoteric oxide. It is called amphoteric oxide when acid and salt reacts with acid and base reacts with each other, we get water and salt. This is the aluminum oxide and HCl hydrochloric acid. When it reacts, two base reacts, we get water and salt here. And when metal reacts with oxide, does not dissolve in water. Oxide does not dissolve in water, so but it dissolve. But some alkalis dissolve. They are the potassium K and sodium, they both dissolve in water. So this is the formula we get when potassium reacts in water. Na2O potassium and K2O, we get Na2OH, potassium hydrochloride, potassium sodium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide we get. So we have learned that all metal do not react with oxygen, but metals like potassium potassium and sodium catches fire. Sodium metals like potassium and sodium catches fire when we leave it in air. When we leave it in the air, to protect from that, they are kept in kerosene oil, and many other metals are kept inside the kerosene oils to protect from catching the fire. Silver and gold does not react. Silver and gold does not reacts with oxygen. It does not react with oxygen in the high temperature. If there is high temperature also, it does not react with oxygen. What happens when metal reacts with water? What we get when metal react with water? This is the action of steam on metal. So they may ask to draw this diagram. So you have to draw this diagram if they ask. So metal reacts with oxygen. They react with water and forms metal oxide, and also metal oxide reacts with water and forms metal hydroxide. So for this metal, when it reacts with metal oxide, we get hydrogen and metal oxide and hydrogen we get, and also we get metal oxide reacts, we get metal hydroxide. Metals like sodium and potassium catches fire when it reacts with hydrogen. It catches fire, and here this it catches fire, and the reaction of calcium with hydrogen does not catch fire. And metals like aluminium, zinc does not react with hydrogen. Hot water or cold water, it does not react with hot water or cold water, but it reacts with steam. To form metal oxide and hydrogen. This is the formula of metal like aluminium and ferrous, that is iron, zinc. I wrote iron also, we can write iron, when it does not react with hot water or cold water. If it reacts with hot water or cold water, but when it reacts with steam, it gets metal oxide, aluminium oxide, iron oxide, and hydrogen H2. So next is what happens when metal reacts with acid. So when metal reacts with acid, we get the salt, as salt and hydrogen gas we get, as you all know, you learnt in your second chapter, acid, bases and salt. Evolved hydrogen is not evolved when metal reacts with nitric acid. Hydrogen gas does not form because HNO3 is a strong oxidizing agent, so it is not formed. The hydrogen gas is not evolved. When magnesium, iron, zinc react with diluted hydrochloric acid, HCl. When it reacts with HCl, it forms a bubbles. So it gets a bubbles. But when copper reacts with diluted HCl or with it does not form bubbles. The bubbles does not come. How does metal reacts with other metal salts? How does this metal reacts? Reactive metals, that are more reactive metals can displace less reactive metal. It can displace less reactive metal because that have less reactive. We have seen reaction of oxygen with metal, acid salts we have explained, but all the metal does not react with it. All the metal does not reacts with oxygen, because if air replaced B, then we can say B is less reactive if a think a metal it reactive element chart. I will show you reactive elements. What are reactive elements? Their chart. This is the table of reactive element. So see here, the potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, they are most reactive, very high reactive, and zinc, iron, lead, hydrogen, they are reactive, so a little bit less. But the least is copper, mercury, silver, gold. So what happens means the copper cannot replace the potassium, but potassium can replace the copper. I have taken an example, copper. So, or I can take mercury, but if I take example as mercury cannot replace the potassium because it is less reactive, but the potassium can replace mercury because it has most reactive. It can react easily and it is most reactive metal, so it can react with it and it can replace that. But this mercury cannot replace potassium at any cost. So till here I will stop the explanation. So I will explain the next topic of this after these reactive elements in my next video. So okay friends, I will see you in my next video. Till then, take care and have a nice day, and like the video, comment on the video, and if you haven't, put it on comment and subscribe my channel and coaching center for more video. I will explain the next topics in my next video. So bye friends, see you, take care and have a nice day friends. Bye friends.